Hey everyone, my name is Tim, and today I'm going to be going over another reevaluation of a stock video that I did last year. It's going to be on ticker symbol GAIN or GAIN, the Gladstone Investment Corporation. And I'm going to be going to see how their stock price has been doing, how their financials have been doing over the last year, and any other pertinent information that can help you find in order to determine if you want to do more research on your own and find out if this is a company you want to invest in. It is a dividend stock. So if you like the video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. It does greatly help out my channel, and I hope you have a great day. So Gladstone Investment over the last year is down about 3%. It is currently trading after hours at $13.83 per share. This is a monthly paying dividend stock, by the way, and they have an EPS or earnings per share going forward of 0.91, a price to earnings ratio or PE of 15.20, again going forward, and they have a dividend yield of 6.51% with a market cap of 459 million and a pretty steady volume at around 135 to 140,000 per day. So year to date, they are down 17.24%. Keep that in mind also. Gladstone Investment Corporation is a business development company, specializes in lower middle market, mature stage, buyouts, refinancing existing debt, senior debt securities such as senior loans, senior term loans, lines of credit, and senior notes, senior subordinated debt securities such as senior subordinated loans and senior subordinated notes, junior subordinated debt securities such as subordinated notes and mezzanine loans, limited liability company interest in warrants or options. The fund does not invest in startups. The fund seeks to invest in manufacturing, consumer products, and business services distribution sector. It seeks to invest in small and mid-sized companies based in the United States. The fund prefers to make debt investments between $5 million and $30 million and equity investments between $10 million and $40 million into companies. The fund seeks to invest in companies with sales between $20 million and $100 million. The fund invests in companies with an EBITDA from $3 million to $20 million, and it seeks minority equity ownership and prefers to hold a board seat in its portfolio companies. It also prefers to take majority stake in its portfolio companies. The fund typically holds the investments for 7 years and exits via sale or recapitalization, initial public offering, or sale to a third party. They are in the financial sector with asset management and custody banks. They were founded in 2005 and are headquartered in McLean, Virginia. As I said at the beginning, this is a monthly paying stock, and they have a dividend yield of 6.51%. with an annual payout per share of 90 cents. They do have a very high payout ratio of 193.33%. They only have a 5-year growth rate of 0.87% and have only grown their dividend over the last year. And it does say as 8 cents for their dividend, but it is actually 7.5 cents. Just Seeking Alpha doesn't do those type of decimal places. It rounds up. So in this case, it's actually 7.5 cents per share per month. And the ex-dividend date tends to be around the 3rd week of the month, with the payout date towards the end of the month. So these are some of the companies that are in Gladstone's portfolio. I have to admit, most of these I haven't heard of. They are located in states I don't live in or haven't. They are Nocturne Luxury Villas, the B&T Group, Bassett Creek Services, Cancel Press, CCE Golf Cars, Diligent Delivery Systems, Educators Resource, MLS or Managed Labor Solutions, ImageWorks Display, as well as J.R. Hobbs Company. I have no idea what this one is. I believe it is WMW. Then the Nth Degree and also the Maids. And there's other couple products that they have under their portfolio, such as Brunswick, Funko, Gen C Home Solutions, Old World Christmas, Shiling, and The Mountain. And then lastly, for the third portion of their portfolio, they have manufacturing using Utah Pacific Bridge and Steel, Edge Adhesives, Galaxy Technologies, Phoenix Door Systems, PSI Molded Plastics, and SFE Specialized Fabrication Equipment Group. And next, I'm going to show you a map of where these holdings are located at in the United States. So here's a map of the United States showing the properties and investments that Gladstone Investment has. As you can see, they're not really based on any specific part of the country, even though they do seem to be more heavily in the east than any other part. They are spread out throughout the country, so they do have a way to look at specific sectors here. I'm just looking at all the sectors to give you an idea of the kind of investments that this company has. Now looking at Robinhood at their options, I will be the first to admit I am a huge fan of options. I love options. But this stock does not have very good options. For one thing, they only have monthly options. So July 15th, August 19th, October 21st, and then it jumps to January 2023. So over this next month, you can only get $10 for selling a $12.50 put. And so that would only lower your cost basis down to $12.40. And you're not going to be able to really sell any calls. I mean, if you wanted to, I suppose you could sell in the money puts, and that would get you more money. But there isn't a whole lot of volume or interest in doing that. But if you were interested in options and you're familiar with them, I would maybe look at that if you're interested in buying this. If you're not familiar with options, then ignore everything I just said. Options can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So if you don't know what they are and you have no interest in researching them, just don't. Just stick to buying the stock outright. So now I'm here on TradingView looking at the stock performance of Gladstone Investment Corporation starting around July 2019 up to the present. As you can see, back in July, they had their stock price around $11.79. Then in early 2018, late 2018, early 2019, it dipped to about the $8.50 mark, $8.75 or so. And then shortly in February rose back up to 11. Kind of evened out for a couple months and then rose up to about 1478, 1475 in December 2019. And then, of course, in early 2020, it crashed all the way down to about $7. It did recover somewhat back up to the $11 mark right around June, and took another small dip, and it's been pretty consistently on the rise ever since then, even though ever since about March it has been slowly declining. You know, it did make a small little jump up in the last week or two, which is nice, but hopefully it can at least stay going sideways for now. So looking at gains earnings, as you can see, it goes quarter by quarter. So quarter 1 2021, the white here is the estimate. It was 0.19, and their actual earnings came out at an amazing 1.42. And here they again beat their estimated earnings. They had 0.21 as estimate and 0.85 as the actual. Now for quarter 3 and quarter 4, it's much closer. They had a estimated of 0.23 and actually had an actual earnings of 0.25, so they just barely beat the estimate. And then in the fourth quarter, they had an estimate of 0.23 and had an actual of 0.26. So again, barely came out on top. And they have not released their quarter 1 earnings yet. I also like to use TradingView for their, just looking at their income statements. So you can see here for 2017, looking at annual, they had pretty close to the same revenue and earnings. They were only just about 1 million apart as far as revenue and net income, so they were pretty close, but they did have 101% profit margin. In 2018, their revenue grew to 126.53 million. Their net income grew to 81.59 million, but their profit margin dropped to 64.48%. In 2019, They had a revenue of 106.73 million and a negative net income of negative 7.23 million. So they had a $7.23 million loss, and their profit margin was also a negative. Then in 2020, surprisingly with everything going on, they had a revenue of 67.22 million, a net income of 42.45 million, and a profit margin of 63%. And in 2021, it came back up to 85 million for revenue, 102 million for net income, and a profit margin of an impressive 120.38%. For their quarterly income, you can see in Q4 2020, they had a revenue of 16.82 million, net income of about 20.5 million with a 121, almost 122% profit margin. Then in Q1 2021, their revenue was 19.95 million with a net income of 47 million and a amazing profit margin of 236.23%. Then in Q2 2021, it had a $17 million revenue, $28.14 million net income, and a still very impressive 165% profit margin. It dropped a little bit from Q1 2021, but still very nice. Now, Q3 is kind of where it hurt a little bit with their profit margin because they had a revenue of 38.79 million, a net income of 10.35 million, and their profit margin dropped down to just a little bit over 26%. In Q4, they had just a revenue of 9.25 million with a net income of 16.7 million, but a very nice and respectable 180% profit margin. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative and helped you come to a decision on whether you want to do more research on your own. If you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It does greatly help out the channel and it is free.